Hello, welcome to an Eyewitness News Special. My name is Tshidi, Madia. I'm coming to you from the Cape Town International Convention Center, a different setting, right? So, under ordinary circumstances, this conversation will be happening with you from Parliament, right? Ahead of the first sitting of the 7th Parliament, the 7th administration. But we take place at the Convention Center, of course, because Parliament is still being refurbished, rebuilt, following that fire in 2022. There'll be a hive of activity, really. This area will come alive in just a few hours, of course, as new members of Parliament take up their seats, are sworn into serving the country and being lawmakers and paving the way over the next 5 years. But before we even speak to those parliamentarians who are coming in to take up new positions or play a role in shaping South Africa's democracy, we're going to speak to the Secretary of Parliament, Mr. Xolile George, to understand what does this moment take, what does it mean? Not even having it at the Cape Town City Hall, because we've been having State of the Nation addresses there. We've changed the venue yet again, so that's kind of where I want to start. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Let's start with the change of venue. Since that fire in 2022, we've gotten used to going to the Cape Town City Hall for parliamentary activities, big ones, when the two houses are joined. So today, though, we are at the Cape Town Convention Center. Why yet another change? Let's start there.
Good morning, Tshidi. Good morning to all the Eyewitness News viewers. The change is occasioned by the structural realities that Parliament had a sad situation that gutted down the buildings of Parliament on the 2nd of January 2022, and that disrupted the normal operations of Parliament. Now we operate here in Cape Town as a seat of Parliament on instances where we have no facility inside Parliament. And now as we usher in the new administration, Parliament will convene its first sitting today and tomorrow to ensure that both houses of Parliament are duly activated to start their own operation. So the CTICC has now, by operation of the law, in terms of the Powers and Privileges Act, Section 4, has been extended as the part of the precinct of Parliament. Hence we are here. Why CTICC? Why not City Hall? City Hall, as you all know, we normally have sauna there. It's a theater sitting because we have one item to deliver the State of the Nation address by the head of state. Here it's a different requirement because you need capacity more than that. You also had voting infrastructure which you must set up, which unfortunately in City Hall you won't be able to do that. You would need counting rooms, you would need caucus rooms for members, and that facility is not conducive for such scale of operations that is consistent with the ushering in of the 7th administration of Parliament, hence the City Hall.
Before I move on to the proceedings of the day, let's speak about costs. The first time Parliament had to go to the City Hall, I think the Mayor of Cape Town was kind of generous in trying to assist. It was an urgent situation. You're at the Convention Center. I look at the environment. It's quite decked up. I don't think it's a cheap exercise. Let's speak about how much it's costing Parliament to host this event here.
In any financial management city, there's budgeting, there's actual costs. We have budgeted 58 million rand, not for paying the CTICC, for the entire management of the process of the transition from 6th administration to the 7th Parliament. That entails having 400 members for the National Assembly. That entails guests that are invited for those members, which is part of the tradition of Parliament. That also entails accommodation for members. You are sitting with members who are not yet members of Parliament. They are returning members, which is fairly easy. They've got accommodation in the 3 villages of Parliament. But for these members that have been brought in here, they have to be accommodated. We have to make sure that we hire a facility like this every day for the next 4 days up until Sunday, starting from 2 days ago to get access to it. So those costs are significantly high costs. After that, there's also inauguration of the President-elect of the Republic. By requirement of the state, these members must all be taken to Pretoria for the inauguration of the President. Again, flights, again, accommodation in terms of hotels, and being brought back to Cape Town. So we've budgeted 58 million rand, but to give a context, why 58 million rand? What was it in 2019? In 2019, we budgeted 43 million. And the context of 2019 is fundamentally different to this one, in the sense that in 2019, Parliament had a building. So you didn't have to hire a facility like CTICC that costs you around 20 or 17 million rand a day to be able to undertake such scale event. So when you look at that difference of about 70 million rand to have this facility for 5 days versus the 43 million rand, so the 58 million rand over 5 years, we say we have budgeted correctly in terms of the estimate, but the true cost will then come after all the cost balances have been done.
Of course. Let's speak about today. For us, it's about the election of a president, but it's actually bigger than that. There's a long program that awaits Parliament today. Just run us through what's expected to happen in the House.
In terms of the House proceedings, the Chief Justice will be the presiding officer in terms of the Constitution of the Republic, and there is proceedings of the day in terms of the schedule. The starting of the event will be the official opening by the Chief Justice in terms of the Constitution to outline the first sitting in terms of his empowering provision in the Constitution. Then thereafter, singing of the national anthem, and the most exciting things. Parliament is a choir, which people will be able to see.
The exciting thing is the choir.
No, it is exciting.
I think for citizens, the exciting thing is seeing who
Let me tell you why I'm
is
saying it's
president
exciting.
and how that voting goes. Yeah, talk to me about the choir.
Yeah, there will be a choir, the singing of the anthem. Parliament had a choir, and COVID came, demobilized everyone. So we have now brought that choir back. So it is a small part. I'm not saying South Africans must hail.
No, but it matters. It's
Yes.
a back semblance towards what we were
So
before
we are getting back to
COVID.
stability in that area. Then after swearing of members, they will be done in batches of 10. Those who take a solemn affirmation, those who take an oath. And once those members are sworn in batches of 10, times 400, then members are now duly operationalized to operate as members of the House. Then thereafter we proceed to the call for nominations for the Speaker of the National Assembly. And the procedure is outlined in Schedule 3, Part 1 of the Constitution, where the Chief Justice will then call for nominations. There will be a nominee, there will be a seconder, there will be acceptance by a member, consent, and then call for any other members. Should there be one candidate who is Tshidi, Madia, and nobody else.
Imagine if I was Speaker of the country. I'm joking, but yes.
Then Tshidi will
Well,
be
it's
duly
easier.
declared as the new Speaker of the Assembly. However, in any democratic situation, there will be vibrant contest, if any, for any party. Then there will be 2 candidates. There can be 3 candidates. There can be 6 candidates. The procedure is clearly outlined. The member who secures the majority of votes cast, not the majority of members of the Assembly,
No.
the majority of votes cast, that member will be duly declared as a winner. If there is no majority out of the total of the vote cast, then the elimination procedure will come. Those who had the least number will drop down until you are left with 3 or 2 members. You eliminate until a person becomes the winner.
And then you'll have a
And
speaker.
that procedure happens for the deputy speaker. It happens also for the president-elect.
The president will be dealt with much later in the afternoon.
Much later in the afternoon, after all other proceedings have happened, where the House must first, it's important, the House must first be duly operationalized, meaning through swearing in. After that, duly constituted, because there will now be a presiding officer in the form of the Speaker. There will also be a deputy Speaker. So it means all members are able to discharge their responsibilities. In the afternoon, the Chief Justice assumes the seats again for managing the proceedings for the election of the president. That must also be done by the Chief Justice, whereas the deputy speaker will be done by the new speaker.
Got you. The big story of, at least for us outsiders, has been whether or not newcomer to Parliament, the MK party, will be in Parliament. Parliament itself this week releasing a statement that actually it's cancelled the travel plans and accommodation plans. Is that still the status as far as the MK party is concerned? There have been no attempts to reach out to Parliament to say, actually, we'd like to come to the first sitting. Please reinstate all our allocation, all our travel, all our accommodation.
The last update I had, CD, was that there was a verbal communication from the party to say we have reconsidered, we will come. That's verbal confirmation. We have not received anything in writing. However, we have accredited 5 members through this process, and they are part of it. So Parliament has not closed the doors to any party. Members who come from a party who are eligible and they have been gazetted as members will be sworn in as members of Parliament, except where instances there's a communication that says you are no longer a member, of which we have received about 7 of those members. The rest of other 51 out of 58, if they show up, they will be accredited and be sworn in. If they're not sworn in again, they will be sworn in next week or any other time by the new Speaker of Parliament. The reason that we communicated that, yes, we did communicate that, and that communication, CD, was informed by communication we received from the Secretary General of a party that says please be notified that we will not honor that event. We are not coming. So that's notification. What do? We confirm notification and indicate that we are now cancelling all proceedings because we block book in advance hotels and flights. So it's a common communication that says when we are aware of potential expenditure that will be fruitless, we can't say we will not tell the hotel to cancel. When Tshidi says I'm not showing up.
Fair game.
Yes.
I am wrapping up just so I understand. You're saying out of the MK party, you received notifications that 7 are no longer coming to Parliament. You have confirmation of accredited 5 members to attend today. But out of all the overall members who are people who are supposed to be taking up seats, how many people will no longer be coming to Parliament? Do you have an overall number of those who are no longer accepting their candidature or their seats in Parliament?
From?
All the parties, all 400? How many have said actually beyond the 7?
There are changes that when I last counted, probably they are up to 20. About 5 or 6 political parties have communicated as of yesterday. Party A will say, I'm withdrawing so-and-so or putting so-and-so. Party B, which they are allowed in terms of the procedure and rules, that between the declaration of results, 2nd June, up until now, there may be a situation where somebody is no longer available or somebody might have demised. So the parties are required to do what we call filling of a vacancy. The second aspect is supplementation. Supplementation is when a list might have been exhausted, then you will be able to fill. And that happens not only for purposes of today. That will happen for the next 5 years. There will be somebody who next year must be changed.
Every other day. Thank you so
Exactly.
much. Absolutely. Thank you so much. That is Mr. Xolile George, the Secretary of Parliament, speaking about what's to be expected today. Very interesting. Around 20 changes to some of those lists. I'm looking forward to seeing the different MPs taking up their positions, being sworn into Parliament. We will be here throughout the day's Eyewitness News, bringing you coverage, speaking to politicians, newcomers, returnees to Parliament, to get their sense of what the way forward is, and of course, watching South Africa's democracy developing as we go along. Tune in.